Well, hello there. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Saturday's LifeWave training. We have our special guest speaker with us today, Dr. Ralph LeBlanc. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Ralph.
Thank you, Miss Tammy. I really appreciate it. And for everyone on the call this morning, thank you so much for taking your time to out of your busy day and the weekend and just showing up. And I really appreciate each and every one of you for doing that. What a great commitment you've made for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that each time that we gather, our faith increases, when we get to hear tips and strategies to grow the business and hear from different leaders. I know that it just encourages us to really just press in and do more, and so that our business can grow. So thank you, Dr. Ralph, for being here. Thank each and every one of you for being here. Happy Easter weekend. One of the greatest things that I know I've experienced in my life is my relationship with Jesus. So I'm super excited to celebrate what this season means to us as Christians. So thank you so much for taking the time out, like Dr. Ralph said, in your busy weekend to spend some time with us. I'm really super excited, Dr. Ralph, to jump into this topic today because really, if you think about it, everything everything kind of balances on leadership. You know, I think about, the first time that I thought about being a leader was when I became a parent. I know, Dr. Ralph, you have a beautiful family. How many children do you have?
Five kids and five grandkids.
Wow. So if you have children in your life, you definitely have experienced the power of leadership. Now, Dr. Ralph, today I'd love to talk about leading by example. And I know if your five kids and five grandkids is anything like my one and only child, um, they didn't listen to exactly what you said do. They actually saw what you did, and
Right.
that is leading by example. So, can you talk to me a little bit about what leading by example means to you?
Yeah, and it's a great topic, and I would say sometimes like that's the most humbling experience because we definitely have kind of rules to live by and tenets we like to kind of implement, but the true I guess the mirror to you is really what happens in the kids that you raise. And and that comes in a variety of different things, and circumstances happen and whatnot, but I always go on faith in that, knowing that the things that I've instilled in my kids' life, even though they may experience bumps and bruises along the way, the core of who they become will eventually, I guess, kind of germinate and kind of integrate into their life. And you're right, and it's the things that they watch you do. And I guess this past week was Macy, my daughter. Her boyfriend's in the military. He's at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and he texted me after winning the election, and I got the highest compliment. He says, "I hope one day that my kids can speak as highly of me as your kids do of you." And it
Wow.
just kind of like, whoa, like I don't really give that much thought because I'm pretty busy within the practice helping people, and now this new kind of adventure that I've taken on as being a community leader. But truly, like, the values that you instill in your kids, I for parents that we have challenges, because I know I have, they eventually come about. And I think it goes back to that core leadership, particularly when they're in their little life, between newborn and 6 and 7 years old. I mean, that's when they're the most impressionable. So that's where I would say, as a family, Cherie and I were so interactive in their life, so much a part of every day. Like, I committed that I would never miss like the Thanksgiving Day turkey lunch at the school, or the
Yeah.
Thanksgiving Day program, or the Christmas program, or round the world night. Like, we did all of those things because it was something that I wanted to kind of pour into them, because for the circumstances that I had as a kid, I didn't always have that. My dad worked a
Mhm.
lot, my mom worked a lot, my parents were divorced. So it was just a different circumstance. So I kind of wanted to kind of break that cycle. And I see now as my kids have all become adults and they're starting to have their kids that, the little things that I implanted and in that parental leadership role have definitely kind of started to manifest. Some a little bit later than others, but it's happening.
Absolutely. Well, and to your point there, leadership is about presence. Leadership, people tend to do what they see you do, and in your presence, I mean, I know there's a quote that says some things are taught and some things are caught.
Right.
So, we catch that spirit of excellence, and really uh, certain things that people just their presence um help us to become better leaders, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And you can definitely equate that to your life wave business, because whenever you're growing your team is going to do what they see you do.
Right.
And that's why it's so important for us to really take an inventory of how we are leading, the example that we're putting before people. And I know, Dr. Ralph, that we can talk about that. You've been a leader in your family, you're a spiritual leader in your household, you're a dad, you're a granddad, you're a community leader. Congratulations on winning the election. And also you have a business, you have a practice, a chiropractic practice here in the community, and you also are an independent LifeWave distributor. So you do wear a lot of different hats, and you know that leading by example, is how you've been able to really grow your team. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you've done and showing your team that leadership by example.
Well, and I'll kind of start that to answer that question with this statement. Obviously, independent LifeWave distributor or own independent businesses, and that's truly to the core of it very important because the idea that you're in business for yourself but not by yourself, and that equates to that team concept is very important. But here's at the base of it, I would say that realizing that I'm in business for myself, a small business, but I can't think small minded about my business. And that sometimes, and particularly because, I'm a pretty busy guy, that we're going to ebb and flow in and out of, different levels of leadership or intensities of leadership. And what I mean by that, like, I know in doing the campaign, I kind of had to step back a little bit as far as doing the calls, but I've handed that off, and some other leaders stepped up and did that. And now that that has happened, I'm looking at reintegrating and plugging back in. And so that happens. It's just like life. I mean, sometimes, look, sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug. I mean, things happen, right? But in all of it, I would say that if one day you're the bug, it's to maintain, control the emotions, pay attention to what's going on, and then move forward, always with moving forward. I guess in the industry I've heard, if you're going to fail forward, fail fast kind of thing, and regroup and move forward. And so I think that being part of the leadership in LifeWave, that's kind of one of the ideas that I'm not always available, but I have a team around me, and Michael Accurso and Steve Bailey and you and Charlotte, that can kind of pick up some of those pieces and move forward. And but we have to lean on each other. And I think that that's a valuable asset that we all have, is that we're part of a team, and we're going to move forward. So in when a new distributor comes in, the one thing we always have to remember is that um, yesterday LifeWave wasn't in existence for them, and today it is. So we have to find where they are and bring them up through that. And that's the leadership that I see, is meeting people where they are and bringing them up at the pace or the cadence that they would like to, kind of proceed forward. Because some people are going to want to go really fast. Some people are going to want to go at that medium speed, and some people are going to go at a snail's pace. But the commitment and the consistency of doing those things will really make the ultimate difference. I mean, I'd go back to this. I'll take someone that's slow with a great attitude all day long than someone with a not so good attitude that wants to move fast, because I know the person that's going to go slow and steady is going to win the race. That's that old tale, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's funny. So, tell us, Dr. Ralph, like as you grow your team, what are some things? And I know duplication is a big buzzword in our industry. You know, where we're teaching people when when they come into the organization, you know, how to, Miss Charlotte and I did a great um, session last Saturday on the top 10. So you can go back and check that out on some of the YouTube channels. But, you know, when somebody, like you said, when somebody comes into the organization, you know, our leadership ability is to really identify where they are and help them to set goals and expectations as well as daily activity in order to help them to get to where they want to be, you know, with their business financially and, you know, with all the other aspects that go into building a business. So what do you think, how can we empower those new people coming in and encourage them to kind of plug into that team?
Right. And I guess the simplest answer would be to plug them into the tools that the company has kind of put forth. I mean, this company, LifeWave, has given us a $1 million opportunity with the LifeWave Connect app, and something as simple as that, as just keeping it simple and not being overwhelming. Because Tammy, we know that if people feel overwhelmed, what are they going to do? They're just going to shut down, and they're going to get just kind of complacent and not do a thing. So again, kind of finding out what their cadence is, and then adjusting according to that. I think that as great leaders, that's one of the things that we should be able to identify is we should be able to identify that cadence really, really fast, in a sense, so that we can, feed them the right amount of information to keep them on the course that they want to go, and not think that, not everybody is a Steve Bailey and wants to move super fast. Some people might be a little more like me and just kind of, steady here and there. And again, I kind of ebb and flow out. So, I mean, I'm a unique individual in a sense because I got a lot of other things going on. And so does everyone. I mean, I say I'm a unique and individual, but really we're kind of all the same. We all got multiple things going. But I think that in doing those kinds of things, not overwhelming people, I think that's one of the best ways that we could, truly be an asset to new distributors coming into our business. And at the same time, like, we have to be a product of the product. We have to be using that app. I can't tell somebody to use the app and not have the app downloaded on my phone. Like, the app has to be on my phone. I have to be able to kind of navigate it almost in my mind to
Right,
tell them, give them direction. And
right,
if I can do that for someone, they're going to go, that's a guy that knows what he's talking about. I want to follow him, and they'll plug
right.
in.
Right. And just if you are on the call or if you're listening to this recording in the future, you can find the LifeWave is called In Touch, and it's LifeWave In Touch app. And I don't know if you can see my phone here. It's that little app right there, LifeWave In Touch. And you can find that in the App Store. And if you download that, you use your distributor login to activate that application. And in the app, it is absolutely unbelievable, right, Dr. Ralph? I mean, it
Yeah,
has
yeah.
marketing, it actually has a system to help you keep up with your prospects. It actually integrates into your phone contacts. So
Right.
all you have to do is click on your phone contacts, send somebody a video, and then it actually even sets up reminders. So you can click to remind you in 1 day or 3 days or to follow up with that person. So it's really important to download that app and to use those business building processes because it does make your life so much easier. I know I've
Really
heard
does.
other leaders say that they have built their Lifeway business in between other things in their life. So it is possible to do that. And we have such a great company and great leadership within the company, a great product that is backed by patents and science. There's so many clinical studies and white papers. There's so many resources to answer all the questions that you may have, when you're speaking to someone. So, I think that when we talk about leading by example, just like you said, Dr. Ralph, we need to be a product of the product. So we need to be wearing patches. Got mine on today, my X39 and X49, and actually wearing some carnosine today too. So it's super exciting to be a part of this body technology that is helping so many people live younger, live longer, and just having that enthusiasm is contagious too, right, Dr. Ralph?
Oh, absolutely is. And Tammy, if I could kind of just digress for just a minute, like, and doing this election thing, I really, it's just a profound perspective, and I've had some really amazing patients and clients that come into my office that have kind of poured some really good information into me, and which is, again, unexpected, but it's like they felt compelled to give me a message, and I listened, and it was definitely something. But I have to say, I kind of wrote this, and specifically because we're talking about leadership, I wrote this because of my experience through the election. So if you guys give me a minute, I don't have it to memory, but here you go. Leaders lead. They don't make excuses. They don't place blame on others. They take full and complete responsibility for their team. They put others before themselves and need no credit for the scoreboard showing the results. Leaders lead. They don't throw tantrums. They don't worry about what others think. They don't dodge questions or lose patience when being asked questions. Leaders have the answers, and when they don't, they admit it and they commit to finding the answers and reporting it. Leaders lead.
Wow.
And that
That's,
just came out of
yeah,
my experience as far as running for public office. So,
that is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dr. Ralph. That is really profound. And it's true, I mean, people, and honestly, people are expecting that leadership, and so when you bring on, a new preferred customer or a new distributor in your LifeWave business, they're really looking to you for support, for answers, and like you said, leaders lead. We don't make excuses, or I love that. That's really profound. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, thank you.
and I think the ultimate like icing on the cake is just being kind and respectful to people. And
Absolutely.
and I've seen that in my chiropractic business where my level of empathy and being kindness to people in my office has really probably reaped me more business than any advertising yellow page or sign I could have put up. And one of the, I guess, again, another comment from this election, just because it's so fresh on my mind, was a newspaper journalist came to me and he says, hey, he goes, he introduced himself and I introduced myself. He goes, hey, he goes, for not knowing who you are, he says, you're polling really well. And I said, wow, that's interesting. He goes, yeah. And when asked why, he goes, people just like you because you're nice. And so it kind of leads it to that. It's like being kind in our business, being kind to others, being kind cross-line distributors, just being kind in general, will reap us more business on the long game of this than anything else. And so that's where patience and empathy come in. And I just think that's so valuable that we kind of overlook it because we're always looking for mechanisms, we're always looking for systems. And really it's just about, being kind and being respectful and having a concern, being more concerned about the individual you're talking to than the end result, right? And even if they don't become a customer, they don't become a distributor, that person will leave with the thing in their mind, well, that was a nice guy. I didn't care for his products, but I really like him, kind of thing.
Yeah, and going back to what you said, we all are wired differently. We all receive information through different lenses. My personality is a little bit different than yours, a little bit different than, maybe Charlotte or Michael or Steve. But the thing that you said, kindness, that kindness transcends your personality type. And I
Mhm.
know as business owners, we can get really busy
Yep.
and we can sometimes what I call get out of balance. And so when we're driven and we get out of balance, what happens is, our emotions sometimes override our intellect. And so really kind of toning it down a little bit, like you said, and kind of making sure that we're walking in love and kindness and take a deep breath. I've learned over the years, like if I close my eyes and I just take a deep breath, it kind of gets me back to that place in my heart where I can be kind
Mhm.
and helpful and generous. So those are all definite leadership capacity tools that we can use. And sometimes they may seem like more softer tools that we can use to grow our business, but they are so important, right, Dr. Ralph?
Absolutely, 100%. Um, I tell people not to mistake my kindness for my lack of concern, simply because I do come in a little bit lighter, a little bit softer, because I want to feel people and really get a true temperature of where they are, whether it's in business or in chiropractic. When I have patients coming in, I just open up and really just kind of feel what's happening. And so sometimes, I don't respond aggressively or with a high level of intensity, because I go in with so much care, and you kind of, Tammy, you've been around me, have a little bit of a sense of humor about all of this, because I think that if we can disrupt the state that people are in, and that's what we're doing when we're introducing into our businesses, we're disrupting the state that they've been in, and a lot of times they don't even know they're in it. They don't feel the levels of stress because they're not making enough money, or they just lost their job, or they hate the profession that they're in, or like in the last 2 years, people are literally getting ousted from professions because they're not, quote unquote, complying to mandates. We are an answer. We are an answer to all of those situations. Um, those big problems are things that we can answer very simply with just those little patches that we know so much about. And I just think it's amazing to be part of this team and to have the team that I have. And I'm truly thankful and grateful for all of you. And I love each and every one of you. Every time we get together on the call or on this Zoom, it's really amazing. And it fills my heart, let's just say.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is so important to have that filled up space, because we all really act in an overflow of whatever, we're experiencing in our life. So that's leadership. To act in that overflow position is leadership. So Dr. Ralph, the last question I'm going to ask, and I would love for you to help us to understand how applying consistency in leadership can help us to grow our team and really empower the people around us.
Okay. I'll try to keep this one short. And it's kind of interesting you asked that, because I was just about to make a comment that kind of segue right into this. I was kind of pretty well. I was kind of doing some active duty training in Maryland, and I got called to go do some training over at the Pentagon, or actually I was checking IDs at the Pentagon. And it was just when Norman Schwarzkopf had gotten back from the first Desert Storm, so I got to meet him, and what a presence, right? And so later on, after he wrote his autobiography, I read his autobiography, and in there, the one statement that kind of stuck in my mind was, "Shine boots save lives." And the meaning behind that is the soldier that could shine his boots consistently, and consistently was, showing up on time, shining his boots, which was the base of it all, pressing his uniform, clean uniform, shaven, all those things. In the fog of war was a soldier that was able to handle the stressors of what was going on. And he was usually the soldier that survived, not just through combat, but even after combat. And that really stuck with me, because I remember as a soldier that I love the military so much. Like it was so, like it's still in me. And I used to like spit shine my boots, like you could literally, like I could see my face in them, and I would press my uniform, and I was so committed to that that when soldiers came in that didn't have that level, they would assign them to me for me to teach them how to do that, even though they had just gone through basic training and MP school
Wow.
and all of that stuff. They should have known it. And how I trained them was I just consistently did it, and I had them do it right next to me as I was doing it. So I had them just mirroring what I was doing. And then at some point, really quickly, they were able to kind of continue that process on their own. And so that always stuck with me. I actually wrote an article about it for a newsletter that I was part of in the chiropractic world. And it was just that thing, like commitment and consistency is a thing that'll get you through the rough times. It always will. And so, the true measure of a man is, or a woman, is not when you're on top, but when, as Mike Tyson would say, when you get punched in the face, like how do you respond? And I think when you have that commitment and consistency of showing up, of, using the app and wearing the products and being a part of the product, and just, talking to 3 people a day, following up with 3 people a day, and inviting 3 people a day. In a year, you could completely change your whole perspective of life, not just physically but also financially.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that story. That is so powerful to think about that. It's being faithful in the little things, being faithful and consistent in the little things over time that people are watching, right, Dr. Ralph? People are
Absolutely.
watching. And
And just for the record, I can still
yeah.
spit shine boots too. It's been many, many years, but I could still do it.
Oh, that's so great. That's so great. That, it does. It's taking an inventory. And that's what, in the last few minutes, I'd just like for all of us to take an inventory of how we're leading. First comes leadership in your own life. How are you showing up as an example? People are watching you. Are you making a daily list? Are you setting goals? Are you going through, the process to become, who God created you to become? And then as we become, then we're able to lead by example more consistently, and empower people and really inspire them to do the same. So I just, the action item from today is just take an inventory. If you had someone looking at your life, would you want them to duplicate what you're doing? And that is true leadership, right, Dr. Ralph?
Absolutely. And I'd say, even, from my perspective, coming, again, after the election and things like that, I definitely feel a little freer. And I'm definitely committed to kind of ramping this up a little more, and building it more consistently in the nooks and crannies of my life now. So to the leaders that are on here, you, Miss Charlotte, Michael, Steve, and then everybody else who's on this call, like, hey, let's go do this. I mean, this is an amazing opportunity, and we are definitely at the right place at the right time. And we're still, even though we're an 18, 19-year-old company, the X49, X39 combination is new to the marketplace. And we have an amazing, amazing market, the entire world, to share our story with. So, and quite frankly, and I say that, but like really, the United States has yet to hear about LifeWave, just so you know.
Right?
So,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, in the last couple of minutes that we have, I would love if you have any questions for Dr. Ralph. You feel free to unmute your line, and he'll take some questions if anybody would like to comment. Dr. Ralph, thank you so much for your wonderful stories of your life as a dad and a grandfather, and a soldier. We really appreciate your service as a community leader now here in Branson. So
I'll let
really,
you know
really,
how that's going to go.
right? Yeah. So unmute your line. If you want to congratulate Dr. Ralph, and thank you so much for your time here today, sir.
Thank you. Absolutely. It's well worth it for sure.
I had fun.
Amazing information. Thank you, Dr. Rao. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you,
don't
Steve.
have any boots to shine though. But
But for a price, he can pay
I can
somebody to
brush 'em.
shine them for him.
Bravo,
Yeah.
bravo, bravo.
Michael, thank you, buddy.
Bravo, bravo, bravo. What a call.
Happy Easter, everyone. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
being here.
Yes, everyone on the call, have an amazing, amazing weekend. Family's always the most important. It's God, family, and then business. And it should always be that way. So God first, family, and then the rest of your life. So have an amazing weekend and a great, great week next week. We look forward to hearing you on the calls and on the Zooms.
God bless you all. Thank you for being here. Thanks, Dr.
Thank you
Ralph.
all.
Thank you.
See you later.